How you doing, guys? 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. It means only one thing. That's the eye test. Hello and welcome to the eye test. It's 10 p.m. I want to say hi to Realist and Rory. You're already in the house. And most of all, I want to say hi to Bath Time. Bath Time, it's been a long week. We've had two big games, three top sixes with Newcastle. Then we played Tottenham and Chelsea. So there's a lot to cover today. How are you feeling about these two big games that we had this week? Can you breathe again? Was it tough? Were you worried beforehand?
No. I think the Chelsea game. It sort of felt like a victory because big Casemiro bailed everyone in McTominay club out at the end. But we should have won that game. We should have scored more against Spurs. It feels like we're at our first skill gap for United, where we've got a lot of the structures down. But now it's kind of like we've got to go up a level, and that's how I'm feeling about United at the moment. That we've seen great progress, but we've got to start. I think personally, and everyone laughs at me for this, I think goals are overrated in football. But we've got to start scoring goals.
Yeah, most certainly. Do you agree that we're getting to the right positions to score the goals, though?
No. I think what's going wrong with United at the moment is there's too much va-va-voom. Like we're so febrile, we're so excitable in attack that we're not really playing possession-based football. Where if you look what Man City did to us, they got McTominay and Delot switched around, which is what happens. They played a third man combination, and then the guy that started the third man combination got in at the penalty spot and tapped in. Like that's what we need more of. We need more rotations and more patience. And I think, despite what everyone says, I think we've got to play slower. Positional play is slow, and I think we're going too fast.
So when we're in the opponent's half, slow it down a little bit, get more composure on the ball, and you're saying we'll be able to create chances. Someone might argue that it gives the opportunity for the side to get back in shape, but you just highlighted that McTominay ended up right back against Man City because we were so twisted up and dizzy.
Well, it's like I think the thing is, we've got a clip later on to show you where it looks like we're beginning to do it, and then something goes wrong. But what we want to be doing is like sort of by playing slow, it allows us to sort of insidiously and secretively develop overloads like on the other side of the pitch. And we did it. Do you remember I showed you a clip? I can't remember who it was from, but it was Casemiro crossing from the half space, and it was the game you and Mr. B watched where Bruno did a platoon at the end. More of that, where we had three men. We had three men coming in. Like that's what I want to see more of.
And let's just go through a couple of comments, say hi to people. Obviously, Realist is here. Rory, Kerwin, how you doing, man? Welcome back since Sop Gents. He says, hope you saw my message. Just showed ITS has huge potential. The hard work being put in for the breakdown and bird's eye view content is great for education or educating. Thank you very much, Kerwin. Cement is saying hi. Everyone, looking forward to this. Hope you had a great day. We did. I'm sure. I'm speaking for me. I did. Did you, Bath Time?
I did, and I also want to give a shout out to Cement and Realist. Realist has a channel called Realist United, very good channel, and Cement with his identical twin, I believe. They do drill raps about United, if you can believe it, and it's good. I'm not joking. It's really good. He streams on Twitch, and they're great fans. And obviously, there's Emma, who we're all big fans of. But yeah, so I hope everyone's well.
Intro over. Let's get into this. So, all right. So this week we played Spurs and Chelsea, two teams who play similar formation, 3-5-2. Can we just go into detail? What is the clash here, because we don't play 3-5-2. I remember against Atletico Madrid last season and Wolves and a couple of other sides, we were struggling. But so it's a clash of styles, really, isn't it? Or clash of formations. So I'm going to open you up. Let's open up the screen. And just explain to us about what we had to encounter this week with these 3-5-2s, and how do you win this war?
All right, let's go through the 3-5-2. Now, myself and Omundi at a much higher level than I did, but we've both played in 3-5-2. Omundi loves it, I hate it. And the reason that I hate it is because the 3-5-2 is about getting huge overloads in the center of the pitch. And it started off as a very defensive formation, and there's been little tweaks and things over the years to make it more attacking. But it's very slow and it's very ponderous. And what it's about is it's about wing backs. So the 2 and the 3 here. Now, if you want a bit of like, if you want to be correct with your terminology, and I certainly do, Monday, anything like wing forward, inside winger, wing back, anything that has wing in the name means that it's your job to provide width. So the wing backs are meant to be providing width. And if you think of someone like Reece James, who I don't watch foreign football because, I mean, who can be bothered? But Reece James, to me, is the best wing back in the world by quite a long way. In terms of how he goes at men, how he comes back and defends, how he puts quality balls in. And they didn't have Reece James, which was lucky for us.
Indeed.
So what you tend to find with the 3-5-2 is that you either have to match it or you have to outplay it. And it's very, very easy in theory to outplay the 3-5-2. And this is how you do it. So what you want to do is you want to get 3 people central. So this is the central area. Okay?
Yep.
You want to get 3 attackers into the center, and then you want players providing width. This pushes the fullbacks, the wing backs, back, and it also means because it's a 3-on-3 here, you're not allowed this in football. You've got to get one of your pivot players back, and you drop into this block here, and you then have and then if they come back like this, you have a huge overload where your inverted fullbacks now become the fulcrum of the attack. And this setup here, if you can get them into something like this is really difficult to get out of. Like, you have to basically hit a channel ball and hope someone holds it up, and you can get out of space. Alternatively, where the 3-5-2 becomes good is if the inverse happens and you push back, you push your team back into the traditional. We'll do a traditional 4 block, like so 4-4-2 block.
Yeah.
Where you will find that they will occupy central areas. They have the wingers out wide. They have these guys making the rest defense, and then they have tactical options from their centre backs. So one of these centre backs can get forward a little bit, but the most important thing is that this is so easy to cycle from.
Yeah.
Like if you get the 3-5-2 into this setup, it's exactly the same. It's incredibly difficult for you to get out. So what normally happens is that when 2 different formations play each other, they either have to match each other or one team dominates possession.
And I think we saw that. We were really impressive against Spurs. They went 3-5-2 the whole game, and we seemed to sort of dominate them, pin them back in their own half. They couldn't really get out, could they? Playing long balls and all kind of desperation passing to get out, which suggests a number of things was going on. But yeah, I was really impressed by that. I didn't see that last season.
Yeah, I'm actually going to set this up, the worst case scenario, which is this.
Looks like a Mourinho side with wing wide men playing fullback.
Yeah, that is genuinely the worst case scenario for the 3-5-2, where you've pushed the wingers back into like becoming fullbacks, And that is also almost exactly the same as what happens when you control the game. But Omundi, you enjoyed playing in a 3-5-2, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, there was a time, I played I felt so comfortable. I was really nervous playing for the top side, and I was playing one of the three centre backs on the right side of the centre back. I was lucky because the wide men that you call them, or the guys that hug the touchline,
Yeah.
the wing backs or whatever, really good players who were probably midfielders that just converted there, and they were a passing option for me. So when I got the ball from the defense, from the goalkeeper, whatever, I had so many passing options. I could pass to my centre back, I could pass to the goalkeeper, but what I was looking to do is pass to the fullback or the wide man on the touchline. And once I got it to him, he wouldn't bomb forward. He'd have his head up. He had a midfield option, square, or he could pass back to me. And usually, he'd look up, get closed down, and he'd just pass it back to me. And I found the game really easy. And it helped me, one of the biggest games that I played, ease my nerves because I wasn't under pressure. I'm very good at passing, very simply, buff, 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 fussy opening like that. So I felt really comfortable in that sort of system. It helped me a lot. I was actually awarded man of the match in that game. Not
Of course you were.
I was.
Yeah.
Because of my pass percentage and dealing with things. But it's a lot more different to playing in a back four where you've got more responsibility. You don't really have time. You can't be given the ball over. So the passing options were there. But as you said earlier at the start of the show, I really agree with you. It's a slow churning out of building.
It's like trench
team
warfare.
Yeah.
You slowly creep up the pitch with very little risk. And I was always against Conte coming to Man United because the 3-5-2 has won one league in England in about 25 years.
Wow.
Like, it's just Conte at Chelsea, and that was before Klopp and Pep had really developed their styles. I'm not a fan of the 3-5-2, and I'm going to kind of show you why in a couple of clips. But for a midfielder, the 3-5-2 isn't fun to play in because I can't do the running that I want to do. I like running, and I really like running my opponent down. Like, do you remember we talked about what's he called, Danny Alves? And the hardest opponent Danny Alves faced was James Milner, because James Milner never stopped running. That's how I play football. I run people into the ground. And when you're playing in the sort of the double pivot role here, it feels like unsatisfying in easy mode because there's so many easy 5-10 yard passes. And you pass so if you're here and I'm here, we can ping this ball back and forth for 2 minutes.
Always on.
It's always on, and you just very slowly with each pass you creep up the pitch, and to be honest, from my experience of playing it in Latin America, it was the only thing I liked about it was that our wing backs, because it's a very popular formation in Latin America, our wing backs would win a lot of free kicks. That was almost all they were doing, and then we'd load the box, and I got to take a set piece, and
which you're very good at.
I am quite good at set pieces. I am quite good at set pieces. If I do say so myself, that's how I got in quite a lot of teams because I got very small feet, Omundi, so the ball is much bigger, so it's easier for me to kick it. So there's that for all my foot friends out there. There's an insight into my life. But yeah. So should we give some examples of?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Of this. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to give you the Spurs game.
So what have we got here?
Well, just before we start, let me know if you like this addition to the eye test. But I've put the minute up here so that if any geeks want to go and check my work, they're more than welcome.
So this is the Spurs game. It's 25 minutes. So it's 3-5-2 against the 4-3-3. What Man United play? Sancho's got the ball wide. Shaw does overlap. Rashford's deep. He switches to play. Anthony cuts in the field. Plays it to Sancho, who cuts in again. Gives it to Bruno. Some space here created. He gets a shot just off target.
Yeah. So what the first thing that we can see here, Omundi, which is the big point, is that our wingers have forced back their wide men, their wing backs. Now, Perisic is a good player, but Doherty I don't think is very good. And we did not face a decent wing back in any of these matches. But what you can see is you can see that on the ball side here, they've got so many men protecting the center of the pitch. But with the Rashford-Fred combo of the switchover, you're beginning to see that we're occupying the center areas, and that is giving Delo space to work in this section here, which is a very important part of the midfield, and Shaw providing width. But Casemiro is just beginning to get all this space. Sorry, this is ridiculous. Casemiro is just beginning to get all this space around, and we're finding out he's quite a technical player.
So he's always got passing up. He's always on.
He's always on. And then here, how this happens in a 3-5-2, I have no idea. But look at that space that we've created. And then
that's from passing the ball and stretching them.
Yeah.
Rotating in the movement as well. Suddenly 3-5-2 becomes a free space 0.1.
I know. I mean, Omundi, look at this. This is probably the most ridiculous thing I've seen from United for quite some time, which is Shaw pinning two centre backs in the half space in Romeo and Dyer. Shaw has got them completely in the wrong position, and then we've got Bruno and Fred just able to get in there, where you'd love to see Bruno hit there, and you'd love to see Fred come round the back and Delo come in.
It's amazing.
Yeah, these are the rotations that we need to see. We see Rashford get it. We see Rashford pulling people out of space for Sancho, and you can see that this line here, this is okay, to be honest. This is a good block from Spurs, but you do not want to be in this situation after 25 minutes in a 3-5-2. And then Sancho attracting all these men. Attracting all these men to the ball with Rashford's movement, and we've got an overload here, and we've got to start using these overloads.
Yeah,
and you can
mentioned it last week. I can see you now. Yeah,
we've got to start using these overloads. And Bruno, I mean, I think Bruno actually had a really, really good game against Spurs, mainly because he played deeper. I don't begrudge him for this shot, but I wonder if after the match, they might have had a word with him. And by the way,
here we've got a nice solid 3-man defense there from Spurs.
From Spurs, yeah,
from Spurs, but to see them get split or drawn out, that's what I find appealing here.
Yeah, okay. So the two men that are going to get split out are Romero and Dyer. So if we just watch them, we'll see what happens. So they go ball side, which is what you'd expect.
So they get drawn into Bruno.
Yeah, but it's Romero gets attracted to Shaw because Shaw has done an underlapping run, down through here, and Sancho, by moving backwards, has dragged Doherty out for that space.
Yeah.
And so. And then Shaw does exactly what he should do, and he occupies the half space. And these two, I think you'd be looking at Bissouma, to be honest. Bissouma wants to be here, and that means that Dyer can take a step across. That Højbjerg can drop a little bit deeper. Bissouma did not have a good game, but that would be my analysis of it. And then they get back into shape and stuff, but really exciting stuff from United. And right, Omundi, we can do one of two things now. You know we like the show to be interactive. We can show you a similar clip from Chelsea, or we can get on to the mystery and the enigma of Fred.
Let's do a similar thing from Chelsea, because it's two kind of
similar thing from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is obviously before the changes made, but if you'd like to talk us through this.
The 11th minute, they're clearly playing a 3-5-2 Chelsea before they changed it. Varane's got the ball, pops it back to Martinez, who I love this guy. Looking up, head up, plays it to Varane, who drives forward, waits for an engagement, plays it to Dalot, who cuts it inside to Casemiro, who plays a pass into Bruno, into Eriksen, who's now Shaw is wide, and plays it into the moving Bruno, who cuts back, plays to Anthony on his left foot, and gets a similar shot just from outside the box, almost on the half space. So similar work in a move here. And like you said, patience maybe.
Well, it's Casemiro free again. Like Eriksen and Bruno have done really well here, where they've attracted that like Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek are quite good midfielders, and they've what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut out the central passes, which is what you want. And here Rashford has occupied 3 centre backs, which is unusual to be honest. You can see that like Chelsea are actually looking for quite an aggressive press here because they've got their fullbacks in front of our wide men. So that's why you've got the 3 players here to deal with Rashford in case it goes wrong. And like we've got a relatively, when I stop it here, we've got a relatively narrow front 3. This is okay for a press. And you can see that Jorginho is just getting a little bit, he's getting a bit drawn in by Casemiro, and the overload is here. And Aubameyang has got to break himself to bend his run to stop it, or Chelsea are in problems.
So run it. Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Dalot's
now Chelsea have an issue.
And Casemiro's got plenty of space.
And this is the thing.
Wow.
This is the thing. Is that by occupying, like this is the we'll call this the half space for now, where Eriksen is, and Bruno sort of in it. He's drawn Loftus-Cheek towards him. Mount is getting drawn out to Eriksen. Jorginho is on, and Chilwell has had a moment of desperation where he's just trying to use his cover shadow to block anything into these spaces, because technically Bruno is going to get in between the lines. And all that means is that Casemiro is free. And we all love McTominay. I'm sure everyone loves Scott as much as I do. McTominay's got a good passing range from the middle of the pitch, but he doesn't have the subtlety or the different types of passes that Casemiro is showing us. And so when Casemiro gets it here, this is an overload forming.
Yeah.
This is what we want to see more of, because Sancho is occupying a half space. Rashford is central. Anthony is in a half space. And then we've got 2 players between the lines, and we've got a very good passer on the ball. This is really promising. And he plays it in. And do you know what we should be looking for here, Omundi? Third man run. Maybe. Third man run.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
All right, we don't do a third man run, but it's the same thing. We get Shaw moving forwards with the whole of the pitch to look at. And ideally, we want an overload developing here.
Yeah.
But Bruno doesn't overload. Bruno always goes towards the ball. And I want to see Bruno start to get on the blind side of players. But he just somehow does Bruno things, gets in there, turns, plays Anthony in. Anthony shoots, but there's a big area here. There's a big area here, like a reverse ball, or you can actually just lay it back to Bruno, and Bruno can do stuff. But this is kind of our dominance that we're showing against the 3-5-2. Right, before we get on to Fred, do you want to do some comments?
Yeah, but most certainly. So obviously, we've shouted out the originals who were in there from morning. But Matthew Bassett's arrived. How you doing? Big G saying just out of interest, what's the biggest clubs you guys have played for? Cement saying big up to everybody. Says a lot of hellos and greetings. I want to say hi to Tyrone Williams as well. How you doing, Tyrone? Hope you're well, man. You know what I say about big, small feet, small socks, says G. Hi from Vincent. And really saying this guy and his love for Scott McMuffin. And Scott McTominay for bath time. Yeah. But look, bath time made some good points about Scott. I realised the value of a man like that. And so do the managers who've been at the club recently. He's really valued. But we don't. I never saw it. I never saw it with him. But I do appreciate him now since we've been doing the eye test. But yeah, can we talk? You were mentioning something about Fred. You wanted to discuss
okay.
Fred.
So McFred,
Yeah.
McTominay and Fred, right? Hated by everyone outside of Manchester United Football Club, including most of the fans, and yet they have seduced every single manager with the qualities that no one sees. And Fred is coming back in the team, and it's got nothing to do with Casemiro unlocking Fred or whatever propaganda Solo is trying to feed us all. It's because they are very, very good at things that are very, very important, but aren't particularly flashy. And Fred is like, well, the Solo's not watching, but Fred is basically a cocaine footballer where you don't really know what is happening yet. It's very energetic. He thinks what he's doing is very profound, and everyone else thinks that it's just dribble as he's just gurning away. And so what I want to talk about is we've been slowly introducing different functions of the press and how presses were things. So now we're going to look at the press against Spurs and how Fred contributes to it and what Fred offers a team. If that's okay with everyone. And I mean, Omundi, just as I set this up, what are your thoughts on Fred? Honest thoughts
on Fred.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's technically good enough. It's right saying, like, people say, oh, he's not a number 6. That's established. He doesn't win his duels, and he gets too easily moved up the ball. So you don't think someone's going to help us progress the ball from deep. But when you play him in the higher areas because of his running ability, I still think if he does pinch the ball high up the pitch, he hasn't got the technical ability, hasn't got the shooting prowess, hasn't got the nice little side through pass or whatever to deliver. So it's all right him getting there and pinching the ball. Then he's got to pass it to the nearest man with quality to him. I don't think he's got that in him. But that's just my thoughts on Fred.
Yeah, I think most people would probably echo that, to be honest. I think he's got wonderful hair.
Really to say it. Fred is on rum and Red Bull for every game.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
He is. He's just such a crackhead, Fred. You can't help but love him. All right, so let's talk about pressing again.
Let's go.
All right, am I live?
No, you need to split it up for me, please.
Have I not done that? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm also lost now. What buttons am I pressing? Present, share screen. Technical wizardry at work.
That's why I do that. I was going to say, Tyrone Williams said, I can't lie, I struggle to watch Fred. I wish he didn't shoot as often because the lad can't shoot. For a Brazilian, his passing is hard to watch. He is energetic and tries his best. We need better, though. But
Look,
right. let's see what you say about Fred.
No, I want to address this about Brazilians, right?
Yeah.
I've played football in Brazil. Brazil produce typically the most boring central midfielders of all time, like Dunga and players like that. They're not all samba stars and stuff. Like, people have got to get away from this sort of like Nike advert Brazilian like stereotype. A lot of them are plodding physical footballers. Absolute nonsense.
Let's see this.
All right, let's talk about right. So this is me moving stuff back. I want to talk about presses and blocks again.
Okay.
So in football, you typically target a zone or a player for a press, and you do it most of the time in these areas here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the attacking final third by the touchline. Omundi, to shout out your brother Kahinde, Tell me about why we do it near the touchline.
Because the touchline is the best defender in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's compressed space. It's hard to get out of there. If you do turn over the ball there, you're like get overloads and that kind of thing. You can outnumber people and then be in a good position to attack and strike. And it's hard for them to play out from there. There's so many different reasons here. So if you press someone in that area and pinch the ball off them before I think you've got them because you're in on goal and
Yeah.
you kind of outnumber them.
Perfect. The reason we like pressing near the touchline is basically because you have one less passing option. Like you're hemmed in. You can only really go inside or as most teams do. You'll see us do it. You'll see Man City do it. You'll have to boot a channel ball because you've been
Yeah.
hemmed in. And the secret to a press is that right. Do you think Bruno Fernandes is good at pressing Omondi?
A lot of people say that because he runs a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah,
But I don't think he is. I don't think he's an intelligent presser.
he's not. Because there's a lot that goes into pressing and it's not just running about. Like, the first thing that happens is that when you're targeting a man, so let's say our man is number 2, that's
Right.
who we want to press. You will get something like this where you'll split the centre backs. The number 9 has to work really hard to force it, and when it gets so you'll get something like this eventually, and then it's out to this fullback.
Yeah.
Now, you don't just run at the fullback, right? Okay, there's a couple of things you need to do. The first thing is you need to time your run so you arrive, like the point of contact, as the player is taking his touch. That
Yes.
is incredibly important because you normally are forcing them onto their bad foot. So when you're pressing, you want to be sort of coming in around the blind side, and you don't want to be giving away fouls, and you've got to you've got to decrease your acceleration sometimes, you've got to increase your
Yeah.
acceleration sometimes. There's so much that goes on. You've got to curve your run to cut the other pass out, and you've
Mm.
also got to have a picture of where your teammates are. Because if, for example, let's say that this is Ronaldo, and this is the issue with Ronaldo, is Ronaldo will make the first pressure, but he won't make the second pressure. So even if you do everything correct to this fullback, he's gonna knock it back to the keeper or the centre back. They're out, and you're too far up the pitch. So
See
you've
you
also
mean.
got to have an idea of what goes on. Now, Fred is genuinely one of the best in world football at doing this. I don't know how he does it, but it is like when okay, so most of us have played football in chat and things, and we've all seen it and things. A lot of the time when you're playing a Monday, I don't know about you, but I don't really think about what I'm doing. I just kind of do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that the
Yeah.
same for you?
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of instinct, but from experience, you know what you're doing. You
yeah.
sort of understand why you're doing sort of stuff. But in the heat of the moment, you sort of it becomes second nature, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I never. Sometimes I'll think, Jesus, this guy side of me, or sometimes I have like a flashbulb moment like that. But most of the time, when you're tackling or you're putting pressure on people, it's instinctive, and it's very difficult to explain because you're not. You're right. It comes from experience. You're not really taught it. Um, well, we weren't. Now you are taught how to press, apparently. But the key thing is Fred is so good at it. So with pressing, we want to be looking at these areas here. This is where all the tactically fun stuff happens, lads. Counter presses, pressing the fullback. But when you are out of these areas, like when you're out of the attacking third, everyone goes into a block. Okay,
Right.
so when you see people complaining about Man United saying we're not pressing enough, we're not counter pressing,
Mm-hmm.
please tell them it is suicidal to try pressing in the middle of the pitch. What you
Yeah.
do is you have pressure areas, um, and pressure areas is basically the centre because you want them out wide. Are you agreeing with all of this so far, Amondo?
It makes it only because it makes sense. It does make sense. You don't vacate the central areas. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's better. I understand why it's better to press in those sort of final third corners. That makes a lot of sense as well. And not just to make sense, but you see it happening when top level people are playing football.
Yeah, it's like I know that the Gegenpress is really exciting because it's lots of men running around after the ball and stuff. But remember that ball orientated pressing has won one league in 25 years in England. It's not
And
the
that's
way to
Liverpool.
go. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
COVID year as well. But it's like it's kind of not the way to go. But any Man United fan who's watching will be saying, right, fair enough, this all makes sense, but I distrust you inherently, and I've seen presses happen here to our pivots all the time. So what's that about? And this is where, gentleman, Fred comes in. Because last week, on Monday, we talked about the need in a 4-3-3 to have your forwards as narrow as possible.
That's right.
Okay? And the reason why is it stops the pass in. It stops like easy passes. You've got to use your cover shadow and all these things. A pressing trap, by its nature, is a trap. And what you will find top teams do, or even no offense to the Swiss, but the Swiss executed this on Pogba perfectly in the Euros,
The
I think.
Euros. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
they absolutely did them with this. And what you do is you purposely leave, you purposely have your wingers out wide. Just not enough so it's obvious, but you have a bit of space in between them. And as that pivot moves in, this is how you know it's a trap. The 9 doesn't go to shut down that lane. He doesn't
Yeah.
go to shut down that lane. What does he shut down on Monday?
The 6.
No, he
No,
shuts
the
down the
goalkeeper.
goalkeeper.
Okay.
Shuts
To
down
stop.
the
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
goalkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
The 11, the winger comes in to shut that lane off, and as the ball comes through, you have someone coming in to apply the pressure without giving away a foul, arriving at the moment he takes the touch and putting him onto his bad foot, and that is Fred in a nutshell, and that
And
is
then
why every manager loves him. The 10 and the 8 get ahead, and
so by the 9 going to the goalkeeper, he's cutting off
stops the
the
pass back.
natural ball because you can't turn into trouble. He get a cool man on your back and you can't turn into trouble. So he's thinking
Yeah.
naturally, who can I pass to? And he can see usually the goalkeeper's home, but that's been cut off. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. That makes
You
sense.
like it. The
Yeah,
thing
that
is
makes
that
sense.
this is incredibly risky to do. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This has happened to me a couple of times, and every time it's happened to me, where I've seen the press on and the striker like sort of messing about in that area here, I just think no. And big kicking Brexit, I boot it. Like I just
That's
boot
not
it
like
out.
you.
I love big kicks, but I just boot it straight out because I'm not messing about with this, you know. Like I wasn't paid, so I'm not dealing with presses in the pivot. But the problem is that if you get out of this, like say your fullback has read it, and
Yeah,
remember, fullbacks shouldn't really get ahead of the central pivot.
that's right.
Um, if it gets out to the fullback, you've got a 5-on-4. So
Yeah,
it is quite risky, but what you
rewards.
also, well, Pep and a guy called Nagelsmann, maybe this is a bit too much, but we might go into it one day. Have developed pressing traps around someone developing that ball, and I will be looking for them in United games if we continue this. But this is why
Yeah,
Fred plays. And would you like an example, Amonde?
bring it on because so it's about arriving late without opening a lane for the pass, then arriving late and intercepting the ball or not fouling, but getting on their blind side a bit. And Fred's
Yeah.
able to do. Okay, let's run this. This is against Spurs, yeah.
hmm
55 minutes. So Basuma's. There we go. So Basuma was played the ball and Fred was ready to pounce. and they're in their danger area where you can get the counter, and it goes off for a throw. Exactly what you said. Okay, start that again. That was really good.
What, you want me to go
And
back?
wow. Wow. Okay. Okay.
Right. Okay. No commentary then.
Sorry, I'm just blocking a thing.
All right. Okay.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah, I'm just blocking. I'm doing a mod business. So yeah.
Doing mod business. All right. Do you want to play it again and give us the commentary?
Yeah. So Basuma's free, a bit like Casemiro's been free. As ball's played to him, Fred's coming late like a shark, and luckily he's played out. They got that out, but the press is on here, and we've sort of swarmed them. There's no room to play out, so it's gone out for a throw off, and they've recycled the ball back to the goalkeeper again. They played it in again to the single pivot, and Fred was ready to pounce again, but they broke now. So they've broken the press, and now we've got ourselves kind of back in position quite quickly.
Yeah, it's really impressive. So here you can see the trap.
Yeah.
Right. That there's a trap here. This is a goal kick that they've taken. We've just sort of pushed in, and Fred. It looks like Fred's on Bentacore, but this is a trap. So Bruno's only bloody job here is to curve his run to stop the pass out that way. That's all he has to do. Does he do it?
Fred.
Does he F? And look at that. Now, if this guy takes a bad touch, you've got Rashford and Sancho with tap-ins.
Oh my God, exactly. Yeah, I see him. It's on the tactical board. That's exactly what he did. Rashford's there, cutting off the pass to the keeper and the centre back. Sancho's. Oh my God.
And there's also that lane is cut out. But I think what goes wrong here, right, is I might be blaming Bruno for this, and this might be unfair. Anthony should probably be here.
Yeah,
and Bruno Bruno just might be doing Bruno things and covering covering Anthony, because that is the pass that you expect from a player of limited ball playing potential. Of like, Basuma's not a very good player to me. But he proves me wrong. He gets it to Højbjerg, and now, as we talked about earlier with counter presses and pressing, we can press here. And you know it's a press because we are doing counter marking, where we've gone man to man on the back. Pinning. Okay, well,
Woodlands, that's pin. That's a
shout
pin.
Out Woodlands. Yeah, okay, so pinning, and you've got Casemiro, basically in between the lines, looking for something. Like Davies is a brave man to play that ball, because anything can happen here. But Bruno, he's got to get ahead of Højbjerg. Casemiro, I think, is waiting for the ball for Son. He's a good player, Casemiro, and he might just be trying to get in to intercept that. I'm not sure. But Davies, he just does something a bit stupid here. Gives it to Dyer. I like Dyer as a player. I know a lot of people don't, and he just boots it off Rashford. And we get the throw, and you can see us going again.
Yeah.
Where Lloris is very left-footed. So Rashford has cut off these options here. Bruno's on Bissouma, and Fred 1v1, Sancho 1v1. The outball is Højbjerg. But maybe it's Anthony, Casemiro, or Delo have got to be in a better position here for this to be an elite level pressing trap. They get it to Bentancur, and
how does he get out of here? How does he get out of this?
It's just good skill. But I personally, do you know what I think the problem is? I think Anthony's out of position. I think if Anthony is here, it allows Bruno to be here, and these yards make a difference, because it's much better for them to receive the ball over here than it is to receive the ball over here. So play the percentages, boys. But they get out, and this is actually something that I really like. is the reforming of the block, and this is why managers love Fred and McTominay, because of their energy and getting back into the block.
That is a really good example. It's only like 15 seconds, but
yeah,
that is a trap. It's definitely a trap. I think that's from the training
and then
ground.
look at us. We're in a really great shape where you have Casemiro between the lines, and sometimes, right, you'll see a 4-4-2 block, but when you have Harry Kane, you need a 1-4-1, because Kane likes to come in and receive the ball between the lines, and Casemiro is just getting between the lines here, and then you've got the energy of Fred and Bruno, and Sancho and Antony are a bit hit and miss with their defensive work at the moment, but Rashford has been extremely good with his defensive work. And systems win your matches, and Tottenham can't do anything.
Wicked.
So we press high.
Any more examples? Any more examples before we wrap up? Because that's a good one. I like that. I really like that.
Nothing from the Spurs game. I've got a couple of clips from Chelsea if we want to go through them, but
just
I think
quick. Go ahead.
Okay, so look, basically what happened with Chelsea is I'll show you a clip, right, where so this is the Chelsea game, 11th minute.
Okay. So this is why they're still in a 3-5-2.
Yeah,
you've done this.
I've done this clip, but like very quickly, you can see that Casemiro has got loads and loads of space. Yeah. Okay. The big change wasn't taking Cucurella off. It was Mason Mount's position.
Okay.
This is what Potter did, where if we go to the second half.
So whereas Casemiro was getting loads of space
right
prior to this in the 3-5-2.
So here we got a slight rest defense. It's a throw in. And this is how much harder it was to play.
So Casemiro, no. Not enough space for Casemiro there.
And then it goes out. This is the big change. It's Mason Mount's pressing ability it's not as good as Fred, but it's not too far behind. A big emphasis was put on someone always being on Casemiro in the second half, and they had a double pivot with a back four, meaning that it was very, very difficult to play through, because for all of the things Fred does well, he's not good enough in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a mistake to bring Fred on. I think I'd have preferred. I know it sounds crazy, but I'd have preferred McTominay. Because I think he's better. I think he's better with the ball.
Okay. So the change was made. So you're saying Potter's done something good there. He's changed because the game did change. It's a bit embarrassing as a professional footballer to be drag someone off after 30 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's for the team, and to be honest, it was also one of his players that he knows very well. It wasn't. It's Cucurella from Brighton. So if it was like, I don't know, Thiago Silva, it might have been different. But here you can just see it again. Mount is watching like Casemiro, where they're basically Mount is playing between the lines.
Mount is Fred.
Yeah. Well, it's
doing a Fred.
Like, look at this from Mount. This is so good. He's blocking out passes to Casemiro because they know Casemiro is the only one in this midfield pivot to worry about. Fred isn't a worry when he's on the ball. Mount blocking those passes off, really really impressive, and you can see how difficult it is for us to get out. Casemiro gets ahead, but it's a trap. And then El Castanero, hola, bang, off the pitch for Sterling.
Martinez, the butcher.
Yeah.
Now this really does highlight that. So there's less space for Casemiro, which really dented us because that tactical adjustment by Chelsea kind of changed the game. They realised they were losing the battle formations. as Spurs were, but what Conte didn't do, Potter certainly did.
Yeah.
And had to mount in there to do the damage and close down Casemiro. Really good. That was good. That was good, guys. Let me just go through a few comments
Sure.
here before we shut down. Obviously, we've got Cement here saying that's great. Cutting out the passes to the keeper and the centre backs. Also, with the 10 and 8 pushing up, the person on the ball would have to get the trajectory of the pass perfect out wide. Let's see. Here we go. Moving Mount centrally from a wide position, says Matthew Bassett. Is Rashford a good presser? Asking
Yes.
Matthew Bassett. Tyron Williams saying Potter was always going to change things. We missed too many chances early on. So there was opportunities out there. And finally, Matthew Bassett saying Potter went to a diamond midfield and closed down time and space on Casemiro, which nullified our midfield. It kind of changed the game. The game did change. Totally agree. Guys, that was the eye test. Covered 2 games, but just key things. So every week we just add a little something to the recipe, and I hope you got that. I certainly did. I got that. That made a lot of sense to me, especially the deal with Fred there and closing down and the little traps that are being set. And the areas to press as well. I'm definitely going to bring that to my Sunday team. Before we shut down, do you want to say big up to the GMS? That's our sponsor. Global Mapping Surveys. They assist architects, property developers, and construction companies all over the country. They offer a wide range of services such as setting out topographical surveys, 3D laser scanning, monitoring, and the link is in the description, guys. Bath time. Final word to you.
Thanks very much, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're watching after the show or whatever, leave comments and we'll talk to you. But I'd also be quite interested is that if there are any active players in chat and things who are playing for Woodlands or whatever, if they want a little bit of sort of I don't know, fine details about midfield or centre back play that we can sort of give you from our playing experience. I don't know if anyone wants that, or if they just want a bird's eye view of me animating Fred running around in a circle.
Okay, so thanks for the love, guys. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. Make sure you press the like button, 16, 17 of you watching right now, and share the show as well to everyone out there. We are the eye test. You are the eye test as well. Our regular followers, we really do appreciate you. And we will be back next Tuesday at 10 p.m. again. But from Bath time,
good night.
And from Omundi Juma, good night. We've been the eye test. See you later, guys.